Canon R6. So, okay, before we get started, I don't normally make this video, okay? I'm not, like, I usually leave this up to the people that, you know, they get the first scoop. You know, Canon sends the camera to them for free, they use it for a day, they send it back, and they make a review video, you know, before it even comes out, which is awesome. I usually let them do that because they're more experienced than me. They, you know, they have more knowledge about such things. But here's the thing. So, I got a little bit tired of hearing YouTubers blabber on about how unbelievably golden and amazing and flawless this camera was. And, okay, I know every YouTuber has his opinion and his differing uses for said camera, R6. I don't want to minimize that, alright? So, like, I don't want this video to come across the wrong way. And I'm not saying this to try to persuade you not to buy the camera. If you don't think you should buy this camera, then you're totally wrong. You need to buy this camera. It's amazing. It's cheap. Like, if you're going to do any form of client work, you need a camera like this. Video, photo, it's just incredible. There's just a few things that I would like to point out before you go and use it for your first shoot, because these are things that I wish I had known. So I guarantee you're asking yourself, why in the world would I trust this no-name guy on YouTube to tell me what's wrong with the R6? Why would I not trust a massive YouTuber who has way more knowledge about this? I'm the one paying to say this. I had to pay for this. I had to put it through the rinks, and I went on my first like full-blown client shoot with this thing, like full day of filming, 12 hours at least, prep time, just like, I put this thing through the absolute ringer in a day. Like the most intense usage first look. That's why I'm making this video. Whether or not you think that's a good enough reason, it's up to you, I don't care. So I'm gonna kind of go pro-con as we go. I'm not gonna talk about the camera specs, okay? I'm more talking about usability, accessibility, and speed. So like, first thing I noticed when I picked it up is it rattles. First con that I'm gonna go over here is major accessibility annoyance of mine. This is the kind of thing where I'm like on the shoot, like hour 2, and I'm just ready to yeet my gimbal like over the hill because I'm like, why would you do that? Here's what it is. So this scroll wheel right here does not have arrow keys. Okay, all it does is scroll and the clicker in the middle. Now, to some people, they're like, who cares? But for me, that's really annoying because I was using this thing, like there's some settings inside this camera that you cannot change unless you touch the screen or reprogram buttons. And I didn't know how to do that. This is my first shoot. Okay, so like, that's annoying to me. When I'm out here with my gimbal, trying to, like I'm working around it, trying to get in here to touch the screen, when I want to just reach in here, boop, boop, change it, arrows, amazing. Like having universal arrows that will work everywhere in your settings is just, it's amazing. It makes usability so much easier. I mean, I'm used to being able to vlog and being able to like change white balance, whatever, on the fly while vlogging with those arrow keys. So the fact that I have to come in here and I have to use 3 different knobs to do what is covered by one really annoys me. I did not like that. And again, there's a whole bunch of other factors that get involved when you throw a gimbal in there. Like you're tapping your screen and your camera's spinning all over the place because you know, it's trying to maneuver, or your gimbal motor is like freaking out because it's like trying to get pushed, and like it's like being pushed around and it's trying to compensate for this unexpected unbalance. That's one of the cons that I would face. Pro, again with the knob thingy, usability, is this knob right here. This is the ISO knob, which is really, really nice because now when you want to change your ISO, you don't have to hit a button and then scroll something. All you have to do is scroll that wheel and it changes the ISO, which is really nice because when you're vlogging, you're cruising along, you go from indoor to outdoor, boom, you just lowered it from 1000 ISO to 100 ISO, and now you're good to go. And like I said, this is all accessibility, usability, and speed. So that's the first pro con. The second pro con is the record button. So I understand why they put it where they did, right there, but I don't like it. And here's why. It's right next to a lip. This lip is really easy to hit instead of the record button. On my shoot, there was multiple times when I mashed this button and it didn't start recording. Thankfully I caught it every time, but to someone who had a little bit less experience, they probably wouldn't have caught it. And that's a big deal, because when you just finish setting up 60 people in an orchestra and you go do a 15 to 30 second shot on your gimbal of them acting, and then you can be like, okay, you like break for lunch, and then you're like, psych, it wasn't recording, everybody get back. That's a huge morale killer. But another part of the problem is that the button, like, so you've got the ring around the button and then the button in the middle. Like, the top of the button goes below the surface of that ring. So it's not like you just like press it like this with your finger. It's like you get it on top of it with your fingernail and press it down below the surface. I didn't like that. Like, I liked it before when it's right here. All you do is like tap it. You know for a fact that it's recording. And with this thing, it's also hard to know sometimes if it's recording, because when you're in video mode, it's got a big red button there on the screen. And sometimes you glance at it and you see that red button, which is normally what means recording on other cameras, but on this one it doesn't. That just means you're in video mode. So there's a few times I'm like, wait a second, it's not recording. Oh, that's interesting, you know? And along with that button, I hate the placement of it. Like, this is fine if you're like, you know, shooting like this, you're you know, gimbaling around on your with your hands. Like with my Ronin, again, like it's in an awkward place. You can't reach up underneath the gears or the motors to get to it. You either have to come in on top and again push it with your fingernail and either make your gimbal spin around or make your motors freak out. At least mine did, because all of a sudden it's like being pushed down way too much for the balance, and it's just annoying. Like, your motor's like, and then like kind of compensates too high and like whatever. I liked it before when it was right here. You could pinch it and you didn't have to worry about your camera moving. Nothing like that. So I know why they put it there. I personally don't like it. It slowed me down. So that's con. Pro is this awesome little button right here, MFN, right above the shutter button. This thing is really awesome because it allows you to do a lot more things on the fly. Like, you can toggle between your ISO and your white balance with this thing. So you can actually change your white balance on the fly without getting into your menu, which is really nice. It's pretty awesome. You can just click on that, scroll wheel, boom. You just changed it from cloudy to daylight. It's pretty nice. So that's a huge benefit to this. I used it a good amount in this shoot, and it saved me a lot of time. So if you're noticing, a lot of this is like, this wasted me time, this saved me time. It's not about one or the other is better or worse. It's about you having the information so that when you go on a shoot, you know what to look for and where you will save time, where you will lose time, possibly. You know, this all depends on what you're using it for, obviously. Third pair of Con Pro. This little sensor right here. So whenever you have the screen on, right, photo, video, whatever. So you bring your face up to it, you look through it, and the screen will automatically dim and light up that, which is awesome. Great design. Love that. First time I did that, I was like, oh, this is amazing. Just like, whoa. Then I smacked my eye in it. But when I started videoing with it, I ran into some issues. So again, gimbal. So whenever my gimbal is you know, around my camera holding it, there were times when my motor would come up behind the camera because, you know, I'm tilting down like this with my gimbal, and the motor would trip this thing. So I'm videoing, and whether it's a test shot, real shot, whatever, all of a sudden the screen goes black, which is annoying. Like, I don't like that. I understand why they put it there, again, but it slowed me down. Speed is everything. If I was them, I think what I would have done is, instead of putting it right here, I would have put it underneath this little lip right down here, because then the screen won't be changed until your face is like right on top of it. It won't be changing beforehand, and it's a little bit harder to cover that up. So your gimbal isn't going to trip it. So when you flip the screen out, it doesn't do that, which is really nice. But like, there's times when I wanted to use my gimbal without the screen being flipped out. It's like if you're driving out of a car and you're, you know, having your gimbal out the window and you're going fast, you don't want this thing like blown and being hit by debris or whatever else. So you want it locked in here where it's safe. It's not going to get scratched if a rock comes flying up or something. I mean, there's cases where it's fine, there's cases where it's not. So to balance that out, Pro is having 2 card slots and being able to toggle between them. It's a little bit hard to toggle between them in your menu settings. I wish that was a little bit easier. I wish that was more like a on the fly thing you could do, because what I was using it for, I was doing a client work video, but I was also doing some BTS. So it'd be really nice to, you know, switch to card 1, shoot for 3 hours, switch to card 2 over break, you know, give them, myself, viewers, whatever, an update if I'm making a YouTube video on card 2, flip back, you know, keep going. So that would be nice if they could, you know, somehow make a quick switch instead of having to go through your settings and whatever. But that is really nice. Just having the ability to double your storage is huge. Overall though, like, it performed beautifully for this last shoot. Photo, video, the works. And so, like, yeah, again, I don't want to diss this camera or diss anyone on YouTube. Everyone has their own specific way of reviewing something like this, but hopefully this can kind of help, you know, as you go into that first client shoot with this camera. Hopefully you can iron some of this out beforehand, but there was just a few things that kind of caught me off guard that I was like, why is it like that? Especially the joystick not having, like, that, yeah, that really slowed me down for the first little bit. Obviously, this goes without saying, the pros vastly outnumber the cons. But hopefully this will kind of help save you a little bit of time, maybe a little bit of confusion on that first shoot. And maybe this is completely irrelevant for you, and maybe I'm the only one that's struggled with this, or was kind of caught off guard. Along with the record button, like the fact that it goes below, like the edge around it, that pretty much goes for like the playback button, the delete button, like a fair amount of other buttons. I kept finding myself just mashing these things. I'm just like, why don't, you know, just stick it out just a little bit more. That is my review of this beautiful machine. So it's fun. I should do more review videos. Canon RP coming right up. Hopefully this helped. Hopefully it wasn't annoying and degrading to this beautiful machine. Hopefully it wasn't blasphemy to its splendor. So go grab yourself one of these things, review it yourself, shoot around with it. You're gonna love it. That's just kind of, yeah, you're gonna love it. I will see you guys in the next video. Hopefully you'll be there. I hope you do, because I mean, I'm gonna be there. Most of my other people are gonna be there, so you should definitely be there. So anyway, I'll see you later. This has got to be like the most raw form of a review on YouTube, where it's just like, I hate this about this camera. I love this about a camera. This is dumb. This is amazing.